What is up, guys? My name is Anton, and today we are going to be looking at the OPPO A95. Now, I've been using this phone for about a month now, and I can honestly say I had quite a good time using it, especially for content consumption. Now, for a phone starting at 15,999 pesos, there are some premium features that I really missed, but my overall experience with the phone was still quite enjoyable. So let's jump into the review by looking first at the design. Now, I personally love bright colors on my phones because I always lose my phone, so bright colors are much easier to find, especially in the dark, so I definitely appreciate this pearlescent finish on the back of the rainbow silver variant. But don't worry, if you prefer more low-key designs, you can find the starry black version of this phone in OPPO's physical and online stores like Shopee and Lazada. Now, as you can expect from a phone in this price range, you do get a full plastic build, but don't get the wrong idea because the matted finish on the back panel does give a more premium feeling while addressing some concerns about slipperiness. Now, OPPO also did a great job in terms of implementing the power button and the volume rockers, as they are very responsive and clicky. Now, speaking about volume, you can find at the bottom of the phone the single firing speaker. Now, it is a mono audio experience, so if I were you, I would use my favorite set of wireless headphones or opt for the 3.5mm jack, a feature that I miss from mid-range and even most especially from premium phones. Now, you can't believe how happy I was when I dusted off my old IEMs so that I can experience my music in the highest fidelity and experience lagless audio for gaming. Now onto the display. The OPPO A95 features a 6.43-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED screen locked at 60 Hz. Now, it is important to note that if you are coming from a previous device with a higher refresh rate like 90, 120, or even 144, you will notice the difference, especially when you are scrolling through different apps like Twitter or Facebook. Now, in terms of content consumption, this is where the AMOLED technology really shines regardless of the screen being locked at 60 Hz, because images always stayed sharp. There were true blacks and vibrant colors that would compete with even high-tier mid-range phones. Now let's move on to the battery. Now, this is one of the features that I think the OPPO A95 really excels at, because it does feature a 5000 mAh cell that is paired with a 60 Hz AMOLED screen. So you can expect this phone to last more than a day. It does average 7.5 hours of screen on time with heavy use, but you can bump that up to 12 hours or even 18 hours with the power-saving modes that OPPO provides. Battery standby is also excellent on this phone with OPPO's Super Nighttime standby feature. Now, I'd go to sleep with the phone at around 100% and I'd wake up the next day with 98%, so I really don't have to worry about charging my phone throughout the day. Now, speaking about charging, this phone does charge relatively quick with a 5000 mAh battery paired with a 33-watt fast charger. Now, you can get 0 to 100% on this phone in just about an hour and 20 minutes, which is kind of long by today's standards, but since battery life on this phone is excellent, I could start my day with around 50% and still have enough battery to last the whole day. Now on to the camera experience. With the OPPO A95, you can definitely expect the typical OPPO color science magic. Colors are incredibly saturated, like the reds and blues in this photo. The 48-megapixel main shooter has no problem taking great shots in good lighting conditions. Although detail and sharpness does take quite a hit when you zoom in. But OPPO being OPPO, these photos are still more than good enough to post on your social media. Now, the 16-megapixel front camera is quite decent, but it can struggle with dynamic range, especially in more challenging lighting conditions. But with a little fidgeting, like tapping to focus or even adjusting brightness, you can still definitely get a decent shot that you can share on your social media. Now, when it comes to portrait mode, OPPO excels with their edge detection, as you can see with these images that I took of my Gundam and my Ava 01. Both have sharp edges and some round corners, and OPPO still was able to crop the subject out of the background and fully apply that portrait bokeh effect. Very impressive, especially with the sensors that we have on this phone. Now, this phone also does come with two other, what I'd say, filler cameras, the 2 megapixel depth sensor and a 2 megapixel macro lens. Now, I'm not surprised to find these cameras on this smartphone, as almost every phone from budget to mid-range phones have them. But I would have liked to see OPPO dedicate these resources they put on these cameras and put them somewhere else, like an expandable micro SD storage or even a larger battery. Now, let's move on to software and performance. The OPPO A95 is running ColorOS on top of Android 11 and offers a really smooth experience. Now, this phone does feature a Snapdragon 662, so you can expect quite lengthy loading times. Now, I wouldn't call this phone quick or snappy, but when I was switching through many apps consecutively, I could tell that loading times were very consistent and I didn't experience any kind of crashing. When it comes to gaming though, I found myself always using two distinct OPPO features: the expandable RAM feature and the game space feature that optimizes your phone for gaming. Now, I use these features so that I can squeeze out as much performance as I can on this budget Snapdragon 662. Playing graphically intensive games like Asphalt 9 and Genshin Impact, you can really tell that resolution and frame rate really takes a hit. But when it came to more competitive games like Pokemon Unite and Mobile Legends Bang Bang, I really had no complaints in terms of graphics and frame rate, as they stayed consistent, which is something you would want when fighting an enemy team. So, like what Cholo said in his full review, you might want to consider a different smartphone in this price range, especially if you play a lot of games. So those were my thoughts on the OPPO A95, a phone I would call a budget binging machine because in my opinion, it is meant for content consumption. In fact, I actually binged the entire season of Witcher 2 on this phone and I had no complaints as I was enjoying the beautiful AMOLED screen with my favorite pair of IEMs. So when it comes to budget phones, some sacrifices really have to be made, but this allowed OPPO to focus on a really strong battery life paired with a beautiful Full HD Plus AMOLED screen that is perfect for consuming content. But what do you guys think? There are tons of phones in this price range, so make sure to leave a comment down below if you think this phone could lead the pack. Now, don't forget to leave a like, a sub, and make sure to hit that notification bell button to stay updated with the next video from us here at Unbox. Once again, my name is Anton, and I'll see you guys next time.